April 14, 1943. Near Kasserine Pass, Tunisia. The desert air is still cold when the hands go up. Dust hangs in the pale morning light, clinging to wool uniforms soaked with sweat and fear. A German staff sergeant lowers his MP40, his jaw tight, eyes burning with humiliation. Around him, the remnants of his unit stand frozen, boots half buried in the sand. Across the WWII American soldiers approach cautiously. They are not what the Germans expected. Their uniforms look loose, untidy. Some helmets sit crooked. One man chews gum as he moves forward, his rifle slung casually. Another jokes under his breath. Actual laughter cuts through the silence of surrender. The Germans exchange glances. These Americans, they're soft. Back home, the Wehrmacht had been taught this for years. American soldiers were just factory boys, spoiled by abundance, too comfortable to fight a real war. Germany, forged by hardship and sacrifice, would break them easily. Now, captured by these same men, that belief hardens into resentment. Lieutenant Carl Weiss, a 26-year-old engineering student, clenches his fists as an American private pats him down. The search is quick, almost sloppy. There are no shouted insults, no rifle butts, no boots to the ribs, just a calm order. Hands behind your back. Buddy, you're done. Buddy Weiss doesn't understand the word, but he understands the tone. Not hatred, not fear, just indifference. They are marched toward the rear, past wrecked German tanks still smoking in the sun. American trucks idle nearby to many of them. Fresh, fueled, running as they walk. Weiss listens. The Americans complain about the coffee, about the heat, about missing baseball season. Baseball, a Wehrmacht corporal mutters, this is who they send against us. Quiet laughter ripples through the prisoners. The march continues for hours. No beatings. Water is shared. Cigarettes are offered. An American sergeant even hands a canteen to a wounded German grenadier without being asked. It feels wrong. At the temporary POW enclosure, the guards yawn. They talk about letters from home. They look rested. That night, Weiss writes in a small notebook hidden in his boot. The Americans are not soldiers in the German sense. They lack discipline. They lack seriousness. They will not endure. Days later, they're on ships crossing the ocean. Rumors swirl in the dark hold. Canada, Britain. No one believes the most absurd rumor. America. When they finally disembark, the air smells different. Not of cordite or rot. It smells of oil, steel, and fresh paint. They are loaded onto long, endless trains that roll through a countryside without shell craters, past towns untouched by war. Houses with glass still in the windows. Children wave, women smile. The Germans sit in stunned silence. This is propaganda, one mutters. They show us the good parts, but the good parts never end. The POW camp itself is clean. Barracks with proper roofs, beds with mattresses. The food is excessive: white bread, meat, sugar, real coffee. The guards enforce rules without cruelty, following the Geneva Convention to the letter, and they rotate frequently. New faces, fresh uniforms. No one looks exhausted. At night, from beyond the fence, a distant sound carries on the wind, a low, steady thunder. Not artillery, machinery. Day after day, it never stops. Weeks pass. The interrogations are minimal. The Americans seem almost bored with them. Then one morning, an announcement. Selected prisoners, engineers, mechanics, skilled workers are ordered to assemble. Weiss is among them. They're told they're going on a work detail. The guards load them onto buses that roll through wide roads and industrial districts. The thunder grows louder, deeper, closer. Smoke rises ahead, not the black smoke of bombed cities, but white, controlled, organized factory smoke. The bus slows, then stops. A massive complex looms before them. Steel buildings, stretching farther than the eye can see. Rail lines feeding directly into enormous doors, cranes moving like slow, deliberate beasts. An American officer turns to face the prisoners. He smiles, not mockingly, but with unshakable confidence. "Gentlemen," he says, "welcome to American production." Weiss swallows. He looks at the endless factory, hears the ceaseless thunder of industry, and understands. The laughter is gone. The casual, undisciplined soldiers, the clean camps, the endless supplies, it all clicks into place. This wasn't America's strength. It was just a symptom of it. For the first time since his capture, the burning resentment in his gut is replaced by something else. A cold, creeping doubt. This is the story of how German soldiers discovered the true, terrifying power of their enemy. It wasn't found on the battlefield, but in the heartland of a nation that could fight a world war while still complaining about baseball. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. See you next time. The bus doors hiss open. Hot air rushes in. It smells like oil, steel, and electricity. The Germans step down slowly. Boots touch concrete, not dirt. The ground vibrates faintly. Something enormous is alive here. Weiss looks up. The building has no visible end. Steel beams disappear into shadow. Inside, the noise hits them. A constant roar, not chaos. Rhythm, precision. Hundreds of machines move in sequence. Conveyor belts snake overhead. Sparks fall like artificial rain. Cranes glide smoothly. No shouting is needed. An American foreman raises one hand, a single gesture. A line of presses stops instantly, perfect timing. Weiss feels his throat tighten. In Germany, this would take whistles, screams, threats. Here it is, silent obedience. Voluntary workers move past them, men, women. Teenagers barely old enough to shave. None look afraid, none look forced. They laugh as they work. One hums a tune, another eats a sandwich, while assembling death. A massive hole rolls forward. Steel plates welded seamlessly. Weiss recognizes it instantly. Sherman, he whispers. A panzer killer. Another follows behind it, then another and another, one every few minutes. No gaps. An American officer speaks calmly. This line produces 18 tanks a day. The words hang in the air. 18. A German corporal shakes his head. At home, one tank might take weeks, if parts arrive, if bombers don't, if workers aren't dead or starving. None of those problems exist here. Weiss watches engines lowered into hulls, perfect fit. No improvisation, no shortage. Parts arrive endlessly. Rail cars unload without pause. The supply never breaks, never hesitates. It feels infinite. Mechanical certainty. A young American worker notices the prisoners. He smiles, wipes sweat from his face, goes back to work. No hatred in his eyes, only routine. This is his job. 8 hours, then home. Tomorrow he returns. Weiss realizes something terrifying. This factory is untouched by war. No bomb damage, no air raid sirens, no fear. This is just one plant. How many others exist across the continent? Producing without pause, without mercy. The doors slide open upward. Light floods the hangar. Weiss instinctively squints. The ceiling is impossibly high. Steel trusses crisscross like ribs. Aircraft frames hang in midair, suspended by cranes, frozen in assembly, waiting to be completed, waiting to kill. The sound here is sharper. Whining turbines, hammering rivets, the hiss of compressed air. It feels faster, more urgent, as if time itself moves quicker. Workers flow in patterns. No collisions, no confusion. An engine casing rolls past. Polished aluminum, perfectly machined. Weiss recognizes the shape. Pratt & Whitney, he murmurs. Radial engine, heavy bomber class. A corporal grips the rail. His knuckles go white. Germany cannot build these fast enough. An American guide speaks. His voice barely rises over the noise. Each line produces one engine every 40 minutes. 40 minutes, Weiss blinks. He does the math automatically. Per hour, per day, per week. The numbers feel obscene. A fuselage moves forward. Workers swarm it briefly, then peel away. Another team replaces them. Like a living organism, no wasted motion, no waiting for parts. Everything arrives before it is needed. Everything always. A young woman tightens bolts. Her hands move with muscle memory. She does not look at the prisoners. She has done this 1,000 times. Her shift ends at 5. She will eat dinner. She will sleep safely. Tomorrow, she returns. War never touches her home, only her work. Weiss feels suddenly small. In Germany, factories hide, underground, dispersed, constantly moving. Always afraid. Here, everything stands proudly, daring the enemy to strike, unafraid, untouchable. A completed engine ignites on a test stand. The roar slams into their chests. The floor vibrates violently. A German private flinches. The sound will soon be overhead. Over Hamburg, over Essen, over Berlin. Weiss knows this. He cannot escape it. The engine shuts down. Applause breaks out among workers. Casual routine. Another success. Another engine. Another bomber. Another city burned. Another war Germany cannot win. And this is only one hangar. The smell changes immediately. Sharp, chemical, explosive. Weiss feels it in his nose, in his throat. Ammunition. This place feeds the war directly. No buffer, no illusion. The building is lower, wider, stretching outward endlessly. Long corridors of production, each louder than the last. Shell casings roll like rivers of brass, polished, identical, perfect, unstoppable machines punch metal relentlessly. Thump, 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 a steady heartbeat. Workers never look up. Their hands move automatically. They trust the machines. The machines never fail. They never stop. Weiss spots markings. 75mm tank shells designed for Sherman guns. He imagines armor splitting open, steel torn apart, German crews burning alive. The image won't leave him. It follows every step. every breath. A guard speaks quietly. This line runs 24 hours, 3 shifts, no downtime, no rest days. Machines don't need sleep. Workers rotate. Production never pauses, not for weather, not for bombing. Another line produces .30 caliber rounds, millions per week. Weiss stops counting. Counting is meaningless now. Numbers have lost scale. This is not industry, it is inevitability. War turned into mathematics. And mathematics always wins. Always, a German sergeant whispers, "We cannot destroy this." No one answers him. They all know it's true. You cannot bomb everything. You cannot starve a continent. You cannot exhaust this system. It replaces losses instantly, faster than they can be inflicted, faster than men can die. Weiss feels his belief collapse. The myth of American softness shattered. These people fight with machines, with schedules, with logistics, with abundance. Germany fights with blood. Blood runs out. Steel does not. At the far end, crates stack high, marked for shipment. Africa, Italy, soon France, soon Germany itself. Weiss knows the route. He helped plan defenses. They will not hold. Not against thee. The bus engine starts with a low rumble. No one speaks. The factory fades behind them. Smokestacks disappear into distance. Weiss keeps staring through the window, as if the image might burn in, as if he must remember everything. Every belt, every crane, every number. A German private finally exhales. It sounds like surrender, not of the body, of the mind. He stares at his hands. They tremble slightly, not from fear, from understanding. The worst kind, the irreversible kind. Back at the camp, the gates close. Wire rattles softly. Guards resume their routine, laughing, smoking, trading jokes, the same men they mocked before. But now they look different, not soft, untouchable. That night, Weiss cannot sleep. The barracks are quiet, too quiet. He hears machines in his head, conveyor belts, engines igniting, shell casings falling endlessly, a mechanical lullaby, built to erase nations, built without hatred. A fellow officer whispers, "They don't hate us." Weiss turns toward him. The statement feels important, dangerous. "They don't need to." Weiss answers, "Hatred slows production. Emotion wastes energy. America does not waste. It multiplies." Letters arrive days later. Red Cross delivery. News from home. Bombings. Shortages. Delays. Factories moved underground. Production halved. Workers dead or drafted. Everything they saw today missing. Weiss folds the letter carefully. His hands are steady now. The shock has passed. Only certainty remains. Germany cannot replace what it loses. America replaces losses before they occur. The math is merciless. Victory is arithmetic, and Germany is outnumbered by infinity. Infinity wearing overalls. Days turn into weeks. The prisoners change. Less defiant. Less talk of miracles. No more faith in wonder weapons. No secret hope of reversal. The factory floors killed that dream quietly, efficiently, permanently. Weiss watches a guard read a newspaper. Headlines about new landings, new ships launched, new divisions raised, all at once, always at once. He closes his eyes. He already knows the ending. The question is only when and how much will burn before then. Weeks pass slowly. The prisoners are allowed outside briefly. Sunlight is warm. Grass grows neatly. No mud, no craters. Birds sing. Children laugh in nearby towns. Weiss watches quietly. Everything peaceful. Guards wave to civilians. Civilians wave back. No fear, no suspicion. Just life continuing. Germany's cities burned. Homes gone, fields ruined. And here, a different world. Weiss walks along the fence. He touches the wire. Cold metal, unyielding. He thinks of all the tanks, engines, shells, the endless factories, and the men producing them. Men who never stop. A young American approaches. Polite smiles. Hands. Weiss a cup of coffee. Hot. Strong, sweet. The smallest act feels like mockery, but it is not. Just normal, routine, comfortable. Weiss drinks it slowly, burns his tongue slightly, and still he drinks, because it tastes of life, and abundance, and a future Germany cannot touch. He swallows carefully, then looks at the bus. Back to the factory, back to the machines. He notices something else. Americans joke about baseball, discuss music, families, movies. They eat ice cream, drink soda, laugh freely. And yet, the factories never stop, not even for them, not for anything. Weiss writes in his notebook, "They are soft," he had thought. "They are weak." Now he understands. Softness does not prevent efficiency. Comfort does not prevent victory. Discipline is not only obedience, it is organization. It is consistency. It is numbers multiplied. The war is not fought only with courage, or fear, or fanaticism. It is fought with steel and repetition, with order and abundance, with a system that never tires. Weiss feels something bitter, recognition, defeat, and shame. He glances at the other prisoners, silent eyes wide, each understanding their helplessness, each calculating the impossible. How to resist machines that replace themselves, how to fight without numbers, without factories, how to win against infinity. Weiss shakes his head, and for the first time, truly fears the future.